real good.
You are now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you wanna listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice. It's the brightest choice. If you want all the insights on all the big fights right before the big night, backstage news, exclusive interviews, and predictions on the fights who will win or lose. No other show comes close, and you know it's true. Every fighter got a voice, and so do you. Now you're tuned into TFV. It's the fighter's voice with Richard Ortiz. Let's go.
Because a lot of changes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice. We got a great show for you this evening. First of all, thank you all for subscribing and following us here on this journey. We're going to be covering a lot tonight. We're going to be talking about Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor. We're going to be talking about this weekend's Andy Ruiz taking on the Nightmare, Chris Areola. And we're also going to talk some MMA with the champ, Combate Global. I'm going to get his take on having an all-women event in the MMA world. And then we're going to ask the champ, what's next? You know, I put on a little survey today, and I asked all my family, friends, and followers, hey, send your questions, and they're all asking the same thing. They're throwing names at them that they normally would not throw at the champ. I cannot answer for them. Ladies and gentlemen, enough said. The WBO junior lightweight champion of the world, the one, the only, Mr. Semper Jamel Herring. Welcome to the show, Jamel.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Rich. It's good to be back speaking with you, man. Good to be out of a training camp environment, just relaxing and just talking boxing.
You know, let's talk about that, because you went from training camp to training camp to training camp. I mean, and a lot of people, they want to talk about, they like throwing the numbers of age, you know, asking what kind of toll it's been taking on you. But every time I see you, you're in tremendous shape and in condition, and you always make weight. How was this last training camp any different from the previous two where the fights fell through?
The last one was a lot different because we learned from the previous one back in the Kendall fight. You know, with that camp, I couldn't really take time off or go home because, you know, in between I had caught the coronavirus. So I didn't want to go home and take a break and risk, you know, getting my family sick. So I had to stick it out, and then the fight was still scheduled, so I had to still focus on trying to manage my weight and, you know, also take care, you know, get my body stronger as I went on. But this time around with the Frampton camp, even before the postponements and delays, you know, I took time off. Like I'll take like every time it got postponed, I took a week off so I could just relax, rest my body and just keep my more important my mind in the game. If not, instead of stressing so much about when the fight's gonna happen and things of that nature. So I mean, like I said, you learn from your past experience, and I definitely learned from my last two camps, and I felt great. I felt great. I felt good, and it showed in the fight.
Jamel, I'm smiling because George Foreman said it best. It's just a number, man.
Yeah.
And your last performance, hands down, was the performance of a lifetime. At
Thank you.
this ripe age, you're still in your prime, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, like I said, Rich, I'm always in shape because I know how to take care of my body when the camera's not around, when no one's watching. I just live right. That's more important. Just living right and just staying true to the sport. You have to, like I always tell everybody, you have to live boxing. You can't just decide, oh, when training camp comes up, I'm gonna start living right or doing the right things.
Exactly.
No, for me, even now, I didn't put on a mass amount of weight. I didn't, go out there and party, drinking liquor and doing crazy stuff. I'm just enjoying the time away with what's more important, which is spending time with my family, as you see, and just waiting for the next big thing.
Well, Jamal, that's never been your lifestyle, anyways. I mean, every once in a while, you have your 4th of July, you have your New Year's and your Christmas, but I mean, that's always been your lifestyle, a family man, and most of all, a champion outside of the ring. I mean, all the comments I'm getting today are people who know you,
Right.
both inside and out, and they've always said it's the lifestyle you live, and most important, being that family man and being that champion at home. When you hear comments like that, oh, there you are making a cameo. Who's
Say
that?
hi.
Your twin?
Say hi. Yes. Say hi.
You made a little cameo right there.
Sorry, Rich.
It's all good, man. Hey, bring them all in there. We'll bring them all in. This is the
She'll
Jamel
make-
Herring Show.
she'll make her appearances at all the shows. Trust me.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's not the one who has the Apple Card, is it?
No. She's quietly upstairs. Thank God.
Oh, okay.
She's don't talk her up.
No. Don't do that, huh? Don't let her know Daddy's having another fight, because that means that we can put more on the Apple Card.
Oh yeah, that's another thing with the kids. They especially like my two youngest, it's hard for them at times. For me
Yeah.
being away, especially like when you have all those postponements, you have to keep delaying and pushing the fight back further and further. It takes more of a toll on, like, for me, for the kids. Like with everyone else, they understand. Like Jen, she understands, but like with the kids, it's hard for them. So that's why, like I pointed out, when I'm home, I just try to use that valuable time as much for them instead of going out and doing crazy stuff. And while I'm with them, I'm still staying active and I'm keeping my weight down. I'm eating, trying to eat for the most part the right things to watch the weight as well. But yeah, for me, Rich, I don't like to be like, I feel like I did all that crazy stuff in the Marine Corps. So all right now, this is my downtime. Like I had all the partying and stuff when I was in the Marine. So right now I'm just my mind's at ease and I'm at peace at home.
How's that game room coming along?
It's coming along. I was coming along. Like I said, I just put together my pool table. I'm waiting for my arcade machine to come along. but like I said, I have everything at home, so I feel like I get to enjoy myself while and spending time with the family.
One question, a lot of questions have been coming in, but one question I've been wanting to ask you is, I have a lot of Marine buddies and also my nephew, Lauren Ortiz. What have you picked up or adopted from being a Marine that you use at home on a daily as a family man, and besides the principles that you lay down at home and the foundation? What else do you bring that you adopted and you embrace and make your own?
From the Marine Corps, just my experience, I learned to appreciate just life, what I have around me, like the simple things, like being, when I was deployed, I seen how families were living in those conditions, and it was kind of like an eye opener for me when I came back to the States. I appreciate little things like just having clean water, proper plumbing, grass. I was out 7, 8 months. I've seen nothing but sand and sandstorms and things and debris. So when I came back, I just didn't take like the minor things for granted anymore, and it also helped me. It made me grow up a lot faster, and so I had to mature a lot more, especially when I started having my own my own kids, and I had to actually put other people in front of me instead of just focusing just on me so much. So I mean, yeah, it's like the minor things. Of course, you guys already know with the Marine Corps also in terms of in the ring, the mental toughness plays a part. But a lot of people don't know it's just the little minor things behind the scenes that Marines may not normally speak of is what you learn how to appreciate more.
Being a Marine and being so disciplined, and yet when you go inside the ring, how much pressure is on you? Because you don't just have the fans in the family and the supporters and the non-sayers, but you also got your brothers, man.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what. Besides me fighting for my family, I fight for those who continue to fight for me
Hmm.
out in harm's way. And I always think about I got to go out here and represent them well because I know they're watching. And you have not even just Marines but just servicemen and women all over who just appreciate what I do. And I know there's servicemen and women still overseas that would rather be where I'm at. So when I look at things like that, I don't take things for granted. I always say like, it could be worse. Or, you got people out here who really believe in you. So you should give it your all because, they're giving everything they have to make sure that you're safe each and every day.
Very well said. I'm going to jump into some of these questions here and some of these comments that have been coming in today. One of them, the first one that I read today that came to me, it was very funny. Okay, you got to picture himself saying it too. Okay, this is coming from Showtime Sean Porter.
Oh
He
man,
said, "Ask
showtime.
him what was it like working with one of the best commentators in the sport, and does he think commentating is something he's going to pursue in his future?"
Yeah, definitely. I will say that's something I'm going to pursue in my future because just like now, I just love speaking about the sport, and I would love to share my knowledge and what I see from my perspective, and also working with Sean. Working with Sean is great because Sean, as I watch him more and more in terms of commentating, he's really perfecting his craft, and I had a lot of fun. Like you guys can tell, like it was like the chemistry with just not even just Sean, but just the whole team. Across the board, it was just flowing, and I thought I had a blast. I wish it could have went a lot longer that night because we were
Right.
just having so much fun. Like when you're having fun doing something, it doesn't seem like work. So and when commentating, it was just fun because I got to express my knowledge, and even then I'm still learning and growing with the sport of boxing as well because of course I know my style of boxing, but when I'm watching others, I'm learning to see picking and critiquing what they're doing as well, and I'm picking things. I'm seeing different things that they're doing, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing here, so I'm learning more as I go along as well. But working with Sean was fun, and I definitely look forward to doing it again. I mean, they definitely invited me to return and do it with them again. So shout out to Ring City USA for the opportunity and be on NBC Sports. But it was definitely fun working with Sean, and I look forward to doing it again in the near future. Matter of fact.
Sean's great at it. When he was on the show the last time, I said, you know what, Sean, you could easily call a football game. I mean, because it just flows so smooth, and he loves football, and he knows his football as well as boxing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Sean is very knowledgeable. You can tell like he brings a lot of personality with it as well. I mean, you got people who know boxing, but they can't generate the same energy as much as the love they have for it. And Sean, he has a lot of energy behind it. So it's not like you just listen to a dull commentator. Like, no, you can actually
Yeah.
feel how he's expressing himself and see where he's coming from at the same time. So yeah, it definitely takes a lot, because like they told me also they have people who have a great vast amount of knowledge, but they can't express it as well as you would
Right.
want to when you're on camera.
Well, I'll say this, and there's a similarity in the statement. Sugar Ray Leonard was a great fighter. Probably wasn't the best trainer in the world. He knows the sport, but it's hard for him
Right.
to to teach it to somebody. Hard for somebody to receive it from him. I mean, when he tried training, and that's no knock on him at all.
No,
It's
I mean,
just
and just like when I heard from my guy Freddie Roach, he'll tell you all
yeah,
day he wasn't the greatest fighter, but you can't take away from what he knows in terms of being behind the fighter themselves,
exactly.
and passing on his knowledge. So yeah, I mean, it plays hand in hand. So just because they wasn't good at this doesn't mean they can't be great at the next thing over here, and still be in the same realm and world of boxing.
My point rather is it's a gift to be able to give your knowledge. A lot of people, they really can't express it and
Right.
teach it to the next person. And a lot of times, hey, Sugar Ray Leonard has a very high expectations, man. But you did a great job, and I was happy for you because you mentioned it before that you would love to do some commentating about
Right.
a year before. We even talked about it on the show, and you definitely knocked it out the park, man.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, and it was one of those moments where I got my foot in the door, so I'm gonna seize the moment and take full advantage of the opportunity because it could be my first and only shot to make an impression. So I
Absolutely.
felt, but at the same time, it didn't feel like it was forced. It just flowed with me, and I just had a great time doing it. And the team behind me, they loved it.
Yeah, exactly. They got a great team. We had current Bati on the show a while back. And yeah, they're really moving places. And I like the fact that they don't stand still. I mean, they'll
Right.
have one show in Puerto Rico, then they'll have it in the parking lot at Wild Card, and they're
Yeah.
moving right along, man.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay, this next question, it's more of a comic question. It's from Rashawn Jones, trainer. He
Okay.
said, "Who are you going to unify the belt with?" And it's he keeps going on. Who is the toughest sparring partner you've had at Bomac?
Oh, I the toughest sparring partner I've had till this day is Bud Crawford. Because Bud he just has so many layers with his game. He can. There's times where we'll have a chess match, which is boxing. We're trying to set traps,
Yeah,
and then another day he'll come with the pressure. Another day he might come with nothing but firepower from bell to bell. So I would say Bud is definitely one of the toughest sparring partners, but he's probably one of the ones that I've learned the most from in return. As you know, Rich, you get a lot of sparring sessions where you see one guy just basically trying to bully the other, and you're
yeah.
not really teaching, or you're not, and the other side, you're not really learning nothing from that. So yeah, I would say Bud. And in terms of unification matchup, I mean, well, today's boxing is hard with everything going on. It's hard to say who you want to fight or unify with next year. But of course, the obvious choice would be Oscar Valdez, since we share the same promoter. I give Oscar his full respect. I believe Oscar, if you're not including, depending on who you're asking, if you're not including Tank Davis, you say Oscar is number one because he beat the man. He beat Miguel Berchelt, and I give Oscar his full credit for that. Never once will I say that, oh, he got lucky, or I think I'm better. No, I mean, of course I would think I'm the better fighter between us two when we meet up, but for the most part, he's the man, and I believe in the old saying that Ric Flair used to use: in order to beat a man, you have to beat the man. So that would be the one fight that I would, say that's the likely of happening in today's boxing world of unification and matchup. But yeah, Oscar Valdez, he's a man right now.
You know what? A lot of the namesayers and even haters, they can't respond to that statement because you're calling out the man coming off a sensational, might have been knockout of the year,
Right.
and most people would avoid him after that. But you're saying, hey, let's share the ring, let's put my skills and your skills together, and let's give the fans exactly what they want, and us as champions, let's one of us walk out with two straps.
And I look at this, Rich. I mean, people they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna say what they gonna say at the end of the day. But and there's no knock against any other fighter out there. But I look at Oscar Valdez. He's ranked higher than me, and I'm all, and I'm saying, me being a Marine, I'm always about pushing myself.
Yeah.
And people didn't think I was gonna fare well with the President fight. People didn't think I would be a world champion when I fought Ito. So I'm always about pushing myself and just turning doubters into believers. I will say, and Oscar Valdez with that fight right there, that can potentially also put the lineal ring magazine championship on the line, and that's something that I always dreamed of doing or competing for coming up in boxing. So if people want to knock me for achieving goals that rare other fighters do or can do, then so be it. But like I said, Oscar Valdez is the man right now. Sensational knockout. A lot of people thought that he had less of a chance of winning against Pachelt than I did of Carl Frampton. So that tells you right there, how tremendous that his performance was, and it was well earned and well deserved. He did it. He himself proved the doubters wrong.
Jamel, let's talk about the Frampton fight. Going into that, a lot of people didn't have you leaving with your strap. A lot of people didn't think that you would finish the fight, that you would be stopped going into this fight. And you got to remember, you came on the show right after that. A lot of people wanted to call it that controversial ending, or so to speak, but they were not the one inside of the ring. They don't know what was coming at them. You know your body, you know where you can push it. And at the same time, you know about being smart in this sport. Now, you put all that away and put a lid on it with that performance. Going into that fight, I'm going to ask you, how much pressure was on you, one, and number two, what made you believe more than the namesayers? Because I know you always believe in yourself, but what made you convince yourself going in that, you know what, we're going to get this done tonight?
Well, for starters, actually, to be honest with you, Rich, there was really no pressure on me. And the reason why I say that is because, like you already said, people already counted me out. So there was not like I had the pressure of, I got to come up with this tremendous performance because people are expecting me to do this. No, it wasn't expecting me to do much at all. And I said it before. If anything, people at Frampton, you would think he had the most pressure on him because he was fighting to make history and becoming a three-divisional world champion and for Ireland. So that was the pressure on him. Then, in the build-up, he was saying that he had the ability to outbox me. He had quicker feet. He was faster. He was stronger. So if you say all those things week in and week out, people are going to expect you now to show up with that type of attitude and expect you to perform at a certain manner. But if you look at it, I didn't make any knockout predictions or anything like that during the build-up. I just knew that I had the tools to be successful in that fight. And if anything, I took all the naysayers. I actually used that as fuel because it feels great when you get to prove people wrong. So it wasn't like one of those moments where, after I got the knockout, people would say, well, we expect you to do that because no, you guys didn't expect me to do anything, let alone get the knockout. So that was the mindset for me with that whole build up in that whole fight. So I didn't really have much pressure on me. I mean, and I remember standing in the tunnel before the ring walk. I speak to myself at times and say, okay, Mel, we worked hard. This is what we worked for. Now it's time to put everything that we worked up to this point to good use. So that's how I turned that switch on, and I just go in there and perform. And it was kind of a great scenario because remind you of the way the O'Kenneth fight was stopped. They thought I quit. They questioned the cut. They questioned my heart and things of that nature. And like you pointed out, Rich, it got opened again. And I looked a lot more calmer with a far skilled boxer across the ring from me at that. And I put on, like they said, potentially one of the best performances of my career. So that all those questions that came from the past fight, they were all answered in that one fight.
How strong did you feel in there? When did you know, okay, this is my night. I'm going to take it from him. It's going my way without a shadow of a doubt. When did you know completely?
It was body language. When I started seeing that he couldn't really, it was frustrating him to get to me the way he thought he could. Like, remember, like I say, he was saying that he could out jab me. That wasn't the case. No. I made it a little difficult for him at times to get in on the inside. I wasn't a sitting target. Even when I got cut, I was still moving. And then when I did get cut, if you look, I turned it up myself. I turned the momentum up myself, and I started pressing him, and I pushed him. So when I started reading body language, that's when I started seeing like, okay, I have them. And the boxing is, like they say, 80% mental, 20% physical. And if you win the war, the war of minds in there in a chess match, that's when I knew that, I was going to continue to keep pushing it level, further and further by each round. I just, like I said, I wasn't expecting for it to stop like that, but I just knew that, I had what it took to be successful in that fight.
I was watching your fight. I was multitasking. I was actually cleaning our studio where we're going to be heading, hopefully in about 2 weeks. Cleaning
Okay.
it, renovating it, so to speak. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Turn the vacuum off. And I'm watching it. And I got to ask you, Jamel, where did those body shots come from, man? Did you sneak Julio Cesar Chavez in there during camp and get those pointers? Because that was the difference in there. That's what softened him up. That's what brought the
Yeah.
hands down, along with the jab, but those body shots.
You know what it is? It's funny. I feel like when opponents start speaking a little bit too much, and I start reading and thinking how they would play the fight out. So I figured if he said that he was a lot stronger than me, as he put it many times in the fight, the best way to take away that power is soften up that body. If he said he had a better footwork, if you want to take away those legs, go down to the body. So that's what I meant. The more and more I started, as they say, putting water in the basement.
Yes.
And I started seeing his demeanor change and his rhythm and his flow. That's when I knew that, okay, I'm breaking him down. Now the fight is definitely going my way. Even after I got cut, when he put the pressure on, if you look, he came charging, and I snuck in a good left uppercut in there. And that's when you started seeing him going from trying to press the fight to retreating more and more. But if you want to, again, take away those legs from an opponent, go down to the body. The head's going to be there. Go down to invest in the body early, and the head will fall.
Very well said. Now, this is coming from former junior lightweight champion of the world. No, I'm sorry, former junior welterweight champion of the world, Mr. Regis Prograis. He said, just tell him I said congratulations. I'm proud of my man. After the fight, before last, a lot of people were saying that you quit, but then you bounced right back and had a dominant performance. How did that make you feel leaving the ring that night?
Oh, like I said, it made me feel like I finally earned my place as a legitimate world champion. Even with me holding the title, there was at times I didn't feel like I had that significant win under my belt. And then, like I said, under the scrutiny of the Kendall situation, of course, I took a step back in many people's eyes. So, I mean, they was even writing me off saying I may be the weaker link of the champions and things of that nature. But like I pointed out, I knew what was wrong. And like I said, I know I had the opportunity. Though I was blessed, with opportunity to redeem myself. And that's why I kept calling, family kept calling the build up legacy, but for me, I kept calling it redemption because I knew I had some things to work on and some things to do. And I was just, I was just proud and happy with the way not only the way I performed, but just how well my team put together the game plan, and it just worked out perfectly for us.
Hold that thought, because we're going to talk about your team. We're going to talk about the corner. We're going to talk about the whole nine in that team right here. This is coming from photographer, in my opinion, one of the best in the sport, top-ranked boxing photographer, Mikey Williams.
My man.
Jamel is a great dude, fellow veteran like myself. I know how hard that he works and well with his team. He changed camps, Bomac. What a perfect fit for him. I'm happy to see him do well. He deserves it. Very talented. And he gets so far because he works so hard and he sacrificed so much. He said the passion that Jamel has makes Jamel the fighter that he is today and just a better person in person. When you hear a comment like that from somebody who doesn't see the outside of you, that is with you through many photo shoots, different training camps, right, throughout your career, when you hear him say something, speak those powerful words like that, how does that make you feel as a man?
It makes me feel like just like you said, as a man, it makes me feel really, really happy about how far I've come and where I'm at now. When people always ask me, how do you want to be remembered as a fighter? I always say that I'd rather be remembered for who I was outside of the ring. Of course, people they're going to critique and have their own opinion
Right.
which I respect of how I looked in fights and in my career, and dissect my resume of opponents. And that's how boxing fans are, and we all do it. But I would rather be remembered most for just who I am as a person. And I'm glad that Mikey, someone like Mikey and those around me can see, just who I am outside the ring more than what they see inside. And so that really means a lot, because at the end of the day, people are going to remember you more, like, again, for who you are as a person when it's all said and done.
Hey, Mikey's a pretty badass photographer, man.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
you agree?
yeah. That's my guy. I hit him up when I was in Dubai. I was like, man, I wish you were here right now so you can get these great shots. But luckily, that's in the past now, and hopefully, I'll get to reunite with Mikey and the rest of the gang very soon.
There you go. This is coming from Robert Garcia from Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. He said, let him know I said great performance on his last fight, and he thanks you for your service.
Oh, that what, that actually means a lot, because I came up I watched Robert when he was fighting, like like you know what I mean. So like,
Hey, he
of course,
may get in the ring. He may get in the ring again. We talked about
hey,
that.
Everyone else is. So I wouldn't
Right?
put it past him. Robert, and he has more knowledge as a fighter than he may have did when he was in his own fighting career. But that means a lot, because Robert, of course, we had opposing camps when Virgil fought Maurice Hooker and recently. But I always had a great amount of respect for Robert because of his love and his passion for the sport, and what he does and what he's done for his fighters. Like he's built a great army of talent fighters, and I've been to his gym. I've been to a gym for a photo shoot not too long ago, and they were just all cool.
Adidas. Let's talk about those Adidas.
Yeah,
you're rocking.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they were just all welcoming, even down to Mikey. So that really means a lot. And I just want to say thank you, Robert, for that. I really appreciate that.
Hey, let Maurice Hooker know that he's in our new intro. We have an intro to the show. And,
Okay.
And he's in. Yeah, we included him in there.
Okay. I'll let him know.
So he could take a peep of that and let him know, hey, I support him, man. I do. I try to balance all the love. I really do. I've just been fortunate to interview such people as I'm able to be in contact with. The other ones that I haven't, I just haven't been able to, contact them. But hey, this show's open to every man that puts a mouthpiece in his mouth, man, and has a story.
I'll let him know.
Now, this is coming from somebody. When you say the words respect, when you think of the boxing journalist, you got to think of the Hall of Famer, Mr. Lee Samuels. And he
Mr.
says,
Lee.
how does he have the ability to turn the switch on from being such a great family man to your ring presence with live fire inside the ring?
Oh, I mean, that's actually, it's funny. Bo Mac always gets on my case about that, because Bo Mac always says I have to get mean. And I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying, because most times, like for the most part, Rick, you see, I'm like this all the time. And so, but
you are.
The fight, yeah, exactly. So that fight, it's only a fight the last 36 minutes or whatever. So for those 36 minutes, I have to turn that switch on from being who I am now. But I look at it when I'm walking to the ring, I always think about what I'm fighting for, and I always look at the other opponent across the ring is potentially trying to take what I'm fighting for, from me. So that's how I sometimes I basically turn the switch on, but thinking about more of who I'm fighting for and what I'm fighting for than just myself in there. Because if you're fighting for a bigger cause other than yourself, I think that lights a big enough fire under you to go in there, out there, and get the job done.
I don't know if you read the notes or what, man, because his next question was, and when he's in the ring and his mind is on fighting the person in front of him or something else, like winning it for someone in his family, what really motivates you when you're in there? Because a lot of thought process takes place once you're in there.
I mean, just when you look at my trunks, I have the name of my daughter that passed away on all my trunks, Areola. So I look at her as my guardian angel. When you look at my trunks again, I have the autistic patch, the colorful puzzle, and like I have two autistic daughters. So I think about, for the most part, fighting for my daughters, and all my children really, but mainly a lot for my daughters because I want them to get the best treatment
Yes.
in life, so they can have a fair life just like anyone else. So like for me, I can say that I'm cool with what I have, but at the end of the day, I'm fighting for a lot more, and I was put them in front of me, and I want them to have a far better life than I had coming up. So those are the things that motivate me to get the job done, and look and seeing the next big fight and in the next big fight. But I always take it one fight at a time. I never look ahead. And that's what I felt. That's what happened with Frampton. They were too busy looking ahead of having his next big fight in Belfast, which he wanted to begin with. For me, I was just focusing on what was in front of me and who was in front of me at the time. And they always say, well, if people ask me during the build up, what's the next big fight do you want to have at the Frampton? I'm like, well, this is my next big fight right here. Yeah, I've been fighting so long to get this fight. This is my Super Bowl for me. So that's how I also stay focused and never look ahead. And when I get in there, I think about everyone who believes in me and who's been behind me since day one.
Very well said. He also said, what's the best instructions that he received from Chief Trainer Vomac after a round or two of nonstop heated action?
You know what Bo, if you listen closely at times, he'll ask you, what do you see? Because you may see something that he's not seeing, or he may see something that you're not catching on to. So for the most part, it's like a trust thing, and you have to have all the trust in the world with your corner in order to get through certain situations. And Bo always told me, told me from the get go, hey, don't don't let this man outwork you. Don't let this man steal anything from you. Don't let him take anything from you. Just go out there, but go out there and be yourself and fight your fight. So and that's the easiest thing, and probably the best instructions that anyone can give you. Because if anything, you'll make adjustments as you go. You make adjustments on the fly. Every time you come back, okay, what happened or what went wrong that round, and then you both, for that 1 minute, you'll talk it out, and we'll just make those adjustments, and we'll go back out there and continue fighting the fight.
Like Lee Samuels, he also added on here, Richard, you've interviewed a lot of people. Make sure you treat Jamel with the utmost respect. And then get this, right before I'm going to get fresh and get in the shower and get ready to go, how do you ignore a phone call from the Hall of Famer? He said, okay, also don't forget, and he's giving me these pointers. He just wants to make sure that you get the best service possible because of the service that you provide for us.
Mr. Lee has always been a great supporter. There's been times when we just spoke about life, waiting for like maybe a weigh-in to start, or we're there for another show, and I'm just there to support. And I'll catch him, and we'll just sit there and talk about, he'll give me his experience from how he raised his family, and I'll share, my experience from what I'm doing in my household, and we'll just speak more on just how, just the people that we care about the most than boxing. So, me and Mr. Samuels, we always had a great chemistry, and I love that about people, who are just genuine. It's not just all about boxing. There's other layers to people other than just boxing. Boxing, yes, is what brought us together. But when you sit down and actually get to speak and meet and speak with somebody, and and get to learn, how who they are, and how they were, how they were groomed, that's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And you know what, man, I'm flattered. I'm honored and privileged. Just out of the blue, sometimes I'll get a phone call from Lee, and he just wants to talk boxing. And what's old to him is brand new to me.
Right.
And he just shares it, and just his wisdom, his knowledge, his storytelling. And sometimes I say to myself, Jamel, I'm thinking, why me? He can call anybody in the world, but he's calling me. And I'm flattered by it. And I appreciate the man.
He probably feels a great connection between you two. And that's something you gotta love that. Because like you say, sometimes you'll say, why me? But to him, he may think the world of you, in certain aspects. So, Mr. Lee is a good man, and I look forward to to seeing him at the shows very soon.
Exactly. Hey, I got to share a funny story with you, but if I tell you this, you got to promise to continue to keep checking your phones, man. And I want to do what I do. Okay, it's the Maurice Hooker fight, and I said, "Oh, just Jamel." And my girl goes, "Is it live?" And I said, "Let's find out." So I text. I said, "Good evening, Jamel." And then you looked at your phone, and then you text back, "What's up, Rich?" I go, "Yeah, we're live. He's live right now." Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I was trying to multitask, but if I get a mention from people that I'm cool and close with, me, Rich, I'm gonna hit you back. Even though like you
You
know
always
even
do.
when I'm in camp, I'm too busy at times. I'll make sure to get you back that next day or so. Like, oh, I forgot to hit Rich back. You know what I mean? But that's just who I am, man. I just I'm the same way, like how Mr. Lee may look at things. Like I just enjoy connecting with good people, and you always been good with me since day one. That's when every time, hey, Jamel, we been. I'm your man. Hey, I'm your man, Rich. The fighter's voice. Two thumbs up for my man Richie. So
All
that's
day
just
long.
me.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
all day, dog.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, two
nothing but
thumbs
love,
up.
baby. All day long.
Exactly.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, I mean, that's how I am. I never even people always ask me why are you so laid back. I'm like, that's how I was raised. I mean, it's great to be a world champion. Don't get me wrong, but the belt don't doesn't change who I am. The belt doesn't make me who I am. I'm grateful of being a world champion. I'm honored. I'm honored that people give me that love and respect. But you know, I'm still the same. I'm still the same Mel. I mean, you can ask anyone around me like status doesn't change me at all one bit. And like, because like when it's all said and done, I want to have those good ties and relationships with the people that have been with me since day one.
That's good, man. That's your feet are definitely on the ground. Now, speaking of being on the ground, this Friday, well, you know what? I'm gonna move back. Well, okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this Saturday, I don't think it's going the distance, man. I mean, we got the nightmare, Chris Areola, taking on the destroyer, Andy Ruiz Jr. I mean, two heavyweights are going to collide. First of all, what's your take on the buildup? What's your take on the matchup? And who do you think's going to walk out victorious and why?
It's funny, like you mentioned the buildup because I learned some things that I didn't know. I didn't know that at one point when Andy was about 15 years old, he came in for sparring with Chris, and Chris thought he was just a short, pudgy kid, and
Yep.
the kid has some heat. So when you hear, I think the buildup and backstories always make fights a lot more intriguing than what they seem to be on paper at the time. But when you start hearing about, especially when you have two fighters that know each other personally, and then you're like, man, so I wonder how this is gonna play out because they've been in the ring with each other, maybe they've been sparring, but they know each other very well. So the build has actually been pretty good, and the card alone, I like because I'm very good friends with the Abel. I mean, yeah, the Ramos, Jesus Ramos.
Yeah.
I feel like Jesus is going to be something to reckon with in the future. I honestly believe that he doesn't get enough credit that he deserves, or the enough. Well, he's getting the exposure, but I don't think he's getting spoken upon as much as you see other young talented fighters. Jesus can fight, man. Like we've been in training camps together, along with Abel. Abel is a hard worker. So I'm actually looking to see how those two do as well because I support them, they support me. But yeah, the main event, you're right. I don't think it's going to the distance. Like in the heavyweight division is always exciting because you like all it takes is one punch and to turn the whole fight around or to end it.
A lot of people bring up a lot of attention and a great point about the transition with Andrew Ruiz, how he transitioned his body physically right in front of you. But we can't overlook Chris Areola
Right.
because, I mean, he has shredded down, which tells me he's taking this opportunity very, very serious.
Oh yeah, of course, because Chris is probably looking at it as this is his last shot. So when the opportunity came knocking, he jumped on board. He could have easily said, "Oh no, I'm fine, I'm past." But you know, I look at it like this, those are the guys you got to watch out for. The guys that feel like they had nothing to lose in the end,
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, Andy right now he's trying to jump back from obviously the last Joshua fight, but in Chris' situation, he's probably looking at people wasn't expecting me to come back anyway, so this could be my moment to seize the opportunity. So those guys you gotta really watch out for, and they both look incredibly well, especially with Chris, and far of a career, longer career he's had. He's trimmed down a lot. Andy, he's been really disciplined this camp, and I give credit also to his, he had a change of trainers, and of course I love my guy Coach Manny. But when he went over there to Eddie Reynoso, they probably had like a really a zero tolerance thing over there, and I know I heard stories that Eddie was saying, listen, if I'm going to work with you, you got to be committed, and he's been committed, and I commend him for that. So that's a lot of how hungry and determined Andy is to bounce right back.
I'll tell you a quick story and then I'll move on. Um, I coached Richie in soccer and I took him as far as I could. And there was a rival coach across that we'd always butt heads. Well, that rival coach asked, hey, can I pick up Richie for a state tournament? He was able to pull things out of my son that I couldn't,
Right.
to a higher level of his game, and so I know there's different coaches out there that can motivate you, and
Right.
you want to stay motivated and you want to work hard for them. It's no knock on who you left before,
Right.
but it's
Yeah.
just the better fit and what's best for you.
You said it right there. You said it right there. Like I've been around a lot of good trainers. I even worked as an amateur and worked alongside with Freddie Roach. But I always tell everybody, I think it's all about the chemistry, and it's all about, like you
Yes.
pointed out, the right fit, the right fit. Like, you know, you want to expect a boxer like me to really work with a guy like Abel Sanchez, who's another great trainer.
Yes.
But I'm not like a Gennady Golovkin type fighter. I'm not, So I found, you get the fighters and trainers have to find the right fit for each other and go from there. And that's, I mean, we've seen it with a lot of fighters. You'll probably you've seen fighters leave from this trainer to go, like I said, to Coach Manny and find success. But maybe a fighter, like I said, left Coach Manny and went over here because it was a better fit for them, and they found success over there as well. And there's no knock against the fighter or the trainer. It's just about the chemistry and what's fits and what's best for both individuals in that partnership.
I think Emmanuel Stewart did the best he could with Lennox Lewis about his fixing his balance. He still didn't have the best balance, but he had that right hand. And
Oh, yeah.
Miguel Cotto with Freddie Roach reinvented his career towards the end. So it was a great fit towards the end of his career. So I truly believe that. And that does hold water. That does make a lot of sense. Now, speaking of Oscar De La Hoya, or did I say Oscar De La Hoya? What's your take on him talking about not an exhibition? And why hasn't ruled that out? But he's talking about a full-fledged fight. What's your take on Oscar De La Hoya coming back inside the ring and competing at a high level?
I mean, let's be honest. That's just always been Oscar. Oscar has always jumped into fights that many people thought were a little too risky for him. Like, they thought the Mayaga fight was risky for him. See what he did there. They thought he was crazy even to fight Bernard Hopkins at middleweight. And when you watch that fight, I thought he was winning that fight until the stop.
Leading up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Oscar was doing fairly well. So Oscar's just been that type of person to really, push and test himself. Even at this age, he's a fighter. He's still a fighter. Like and I believe you'll always be a fighter. I mean, look at the great Julio Cesar Chavez. He's doing exhibitions in his mid-50s. So like he's a fighter. So as a fighter, you still have that mindset that you can always overcome and achieve what people may think you can't do. So if Oscar wants to compete in a full-fledged fight and he feels like his body is up to it, like you pointed out earlier, George Foreman said, age is just a number. So, but if he has the right conditioning and the mindset for it, let him handle his business.
Hey, let's bring him down to Bomax. Be a good fit for him.
Oh, he come down here. I would love to pick Oscar's brain. Oscar was one of my favorite fighters coming up, and I still watch Oscar De La Hoya fights from time to time on my free time. So, cause I might pick up something minor, like for instance, like I'll look at an Oscar fight and depending on who I'm fighting, I'm like, okay, in this fight I see Oscar got the bounce and rhythm in his legs because he wanted to keep his opponent offset. Like for instance, when he fought Fernando Vargas, he boxed. He boxed. He moved. He used his legs. Even in the Trinidad fight, he was boxing beautifully until he took the foot off the gas, of course. But those are the little things I pick up. Obviously, I can't fight completely like an Oscar De La Hoya, but if I can, as a student of the game, if I can pick up, little things from here and there, and I can, put it in my own arsenal. That's how I'll go about things.
Forever I didn't know he was really left-handed until I saw him sign an autograph with his left hand, and that's why that's
what the jab, that's what the power,
yeah, it was so vicious.
That's why he had a good left hook. And another a great fight that I love watching with his is when he fought I Cortez. That was the war of the jabs, because his strong hand.
Oh, I Cortez
was the pitch. I Cortez was something serious with that jab, but Oscar had a good jab himself, so it was just it's a great fight to even catch now from time to time, because it was just one of those best fights of that era.
Let's talk about Bud Crawford briefly. Your brother, your mate,
right.
Because that's the slang that they use, because it's coming from your buddy. Everybody wants a piece of Bud Crawford, and yet they don't. I mean, listen to that sentence. We'll say that again. Everybody wants a piece of him, and yet they don't. Because the reality, once that bell rings, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Don't think just because he's been on the shelf. This man is well preserved. This man is always fight ready. He has a different tenacity, a different upbringing as a child. He's always been a fighter. I mean, I've watched the story over and over again. And when he comes to fight, he brings his whole family with him. He lets them all know, hey, it's just like me in the backyard letting these hands go. If and when he does get that big major fight, can you see him eventually moving up to 154s or staying at 147s and waiting for those big names, or just all of a sudden just saying, hey, you know what? There's fights out here to be made.
No, I can actually see him staying at 147 until he gets those big fights, and I guess that's why he has like that chip on his shoulder, because he, no matter what, he's not going to leave the division until he feels like he gets those fights that he's been craving for the longest. But after he gets those fights, I can see him moving up to 154 as well, because Bud is actually a big dude. Like he can pack on some weight, but in the right way. It's not like he just sluggish and everything. Like, no, Bud, right now he's probably in the gym. To be honest with you, he's probably in the gym right now, because he's a lab rat. He stays in the lab. He stays in the lab all the time. Even when I'm in camp, he'll come in, he'll work out, he'll train with me, we'll spar, and we can go 10 rounds off the rip, and you be like, man, I've been in camp for like 4 weeks or 5 weeks. How are you keeping up? But he's always ready, because that's just how he is. But yeah, I know right now he's definitely craving for those big fights at 147. But don't be surprised if he does eventually move up to 154 as well, because we have spoken about it amongst each other. Like we stick with everything, and he's not shy from moving up another weight class and becoming a world champion in the next division.
You know what? Before we end the show and talk about a big fight May 22nd, I gotta ask you this, man. And I would advise you this Friday, man, just relax, put on Univision and put it on Combate MMA. Quick plug for my friend Mike Fromowitz, the vice president of Combate Global. It's going to be an all-women card, man. And these women, Jamel, they bring it in the MMA world. I'm telling you, they always put on a stat card. They'll be in Miami. It'll be live, and it's just iron sharpens iron, man. You got to respect the sport and know what they put into it, because these women, they're beautiful outside the ring, but they're a terror inside that cage. I should say cage, but yeah.
I have no issue supporting that, because I've been a huge supporter for our own women in boxing. Like, these women, they're fighting for their place at the table, and they're not giving up. They're not allowing anyone to tell them any different, and I love and respect that. So if any way I can help support women move forward, with their respective sports or whatever, I'm all for it, and definitely, I will definitely check that out, and so you can tell them I say hello, and I'll definitely be tuning in.
There you go. Now we got a big unification fight, May 22nd, Las Vegas. Regis was on the show last Thursday, and he said, Richard, I haven't heard any promotion about it, man. I mean, this is a big fight, and yet, I mean, we're not talking about it. We're not putting it in the same breath as Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, or even Danny Romero and Johnny Tapia unification fights. Remember back then we used to watch those,
Right.
or over and over again. I mean, champion versus champion. Yet there's still going to be a walk-in. There's still going to be an introduction, and there's still going to be a sound of the bell. Once that bell rings, I mean, we got two Olympians, two undefeated champions in their prime. What's going to happen? How do you see this fight taking place? Do you see it with different chapters? Somebody winning the first half, someone winning the second half? Could it be a classic? Can it be a trilogy? What's your take on this? I'm going to put the whole promoter's cap on you, the matchmaking cap on you, and the analyst belt on you.
Well, for starters, going back to what Rick just said, I mean, don't let my guy Rick Marigian hear that, because Rick has been going crazy about, promotion, of course. Shout out to
I
Rick.
made sure to say that
Yeah.
Regis said it. I think Regis kind of poured it on just a
Rick,
little extra for that too.
yeah, because Rick is definitely big on terms of promoting and things of that nature with that. But I think that fight, I mean, people will say I'm crazy because it didn't happen yet, or it's too early to call it that when it does happen. But I think that could be an instant classic because of the styles. The styles that clash. Jose, he may have a slow start, and Josh is a good boxer, but when Jose get that engine running, he's coming. I sparred with Jose getting ready for the Olympics. I actually fought Josh Taylor during the back in November of 2011 for the Olympic test event in London.
Yes.
And that's how me and Josh became good friends. That's why I always tell people all the time also, stick around the amateurs, because you'll come across a lot of good people and talent throughout your journey. But I got a lot of respect for both individuals, and I go back and forth because of what they bring, and you also I look at it like this, this might, depending on how he brings it, it might trump what he has, or so on. Like, I feel as if Josh has to stay away from trying to get into a fight. Josh might want to box, because I remember go back watching Josh fight with Regis. When Regis on the inside, that's when Regis did a lot of his damage. I mean, you seen the damage on Josh's face.
Yeah, right.
Like, but Jose, not only can he box, but he has that gritty, hardcore, old school Mexican style. When he gets on the inside, he's not letting you go too easily. And if you do get out of there, he's gonna make sure you have something to remember him by. But Josh, look at his resume. Also, like, he doesn't even have 20 fights yet, and his resume is stacked, and it's stacked with experienced opponents, under his belt. So Josh has I don't think he was expected to do a lot in terms of his Olympic class, coming up the same Olympic class that I came up with, with that team. And when it's all said and done, Josh can potentially be, and he's still going. He's still far way in his. He's still in his prime, early in his prime. So he still has the potential to probably become one of Scotland's greatest champions, maybe a future Hall of Famer down the road. So that fight, I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now. I just keep going back and forth with it because it's no easy stretch for either one of them. And I think Josh is headed. He just got to the States recently, so he's really preparing. And I watched the interview the other night with Jose. Like, he's feeling like people are underestimating him. So he's hungry to make, and both of them are seeking to make history out there. So that's really a great fight. That's probably one of the only fights that I've been saying since it was actually made that I'm actually going to be there in person, because it's probably going to be one of those moments that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, exactly. What do you look to pick up during that when it's so close? I mean, when people ask me, I always tell them honestly, hey, wait, let me see the walk-in if I can see something that I didn't see before. Let me see the weigh-in if I can see something, or
Yeah.
let me spot something that I didn't see before. I mean, is that what we're talking about in this fight?
Oh
Before
yeah,
we can make a decision?
those moments, yeah, those moments definitely play a huge role. I mean,
Yes.
um, I would say like I pointed out, like body language. You look even
Yes.
at the weigh-in, you see how they react when they get up the scale. Do they go rush? To go guzzle down water or eat crazy? You know, eat just get ridiculous in terms of they what amount of food they put back in them. Or and I'll tell you a good story, Real. I'm glad you put that up because, like I said, I'm glad you actually look at things like that because that's how I look at things. When I my own weigh-in with Frampton, the whole you seen it the whole time. Oh, he's gonna struggle to make weight. How does he do it? He's too big. I actually weighed less than him than I knew. And if you watch that weigh-in, you could see like he actually kind of like he was right on the limit. Like he was 129.9, so he's
Yeah.
right there. So you can tell when a fighter's trying to like hurry on and balance himself and then hop up the scale real quick. That's a sign. Okay, maybe he didn't have a great cut. So maybe he burnt that a lot trying to make the weight himself. But for me, if you watch when I got on the scale, I was nice and calm and cool. And then when I got off the scale, I went over to my trainer. I got a sip of my water, and then I kept it moving. So I look at stuff like that to see, and see how people react in terms of the weigh-in. And then another thing I look at is during the post-fight introduction, like you pointed out. If they have if they have just the look in their face, if they or if they're dry, maybe they didn't warm up enough, maybe they're a little nervous, and you got so it's little things I look at before that bell rings, and that's how I usually pick. Okay, I don't think this fight's gonna go too well because this guy over here, he looks a little iffy about himself,
Mhm.
but this guy over here, he's flowing with energy, he's flowing with confidence. So that's how I go about things as well.
You know, first of all, I think about Josh accepting the fight in the States.
Yeah.
And you look at his body language on these interviews, he truly believes without a shadow of doubt that he's going to win the fight. There's no doubt in him that according to his camp, he's going to win the fight. Brought everybody in his camp. He's having a good time with his interviews, having a good time with his workouts. And you see Jose, and he's all business because he knows what's at stake. He knows
Right.
what he wants, and he knows what this will do for him, for his legacy and
Right.
longevity in the sport of boxing. I'm looking for an explosive night, and Jose's around from my area, and all I hear, Jose's gonna win easy. He's gonna win this fight and this. I'm a realist, okay?
Right.
It's not gonna be an easy victory by either man.
No.
And if it's a quick night by either man, it's because it was a chess match, and someone said checkmate right off the bat.
And seen that opening. There's no such thing as a lucky shot. They just,
No.
like I said, it's a chess match. They found that opening, they took
Yes.
advantage of it, and it was over. And so I'm definitely with you on that. And like I love them both. They're both good individuals. They both supported me throughout my own careers, and I have nothing bad to say about neither one of them. But it's definitely that's what also makes it a great fight because it's definitely not an easy fight for either one. I always say whoever brings their A game to the table that night is going to come out, but on top. But I'm definitely looking forward to that fight.
I had the privilege of going down to Jose's training camp and interviewing him, which actually be out this week. And Jose is a guest on the show this Thursday. So I'm going to be pulling for Jose. That's no secret. There's no ifs or buts to that. It's not going to be an easy night. It's going to be, and if it's easy, it's because he put in the work to make the opportunities and he took advantage of the opportunities. Josh Taylor coming all the way down from the States, and he sure in the hell ain't doing it for a payday because we know what he makes at his home. He's doing it for his own legacy and his own belief that he's going to walk away with those bouts. That's why it's going to make for a great fight, a great night of boxing, and history will be made that night. And hey, when it came down to okay, who's going to get credentials or not, I let Evan know, hey man, I was interviewing Jose with a Polaroid camera. So back in the day, so I've been Team Ramirez since day one, but I do acknowledge the task that Jose has in front of him. It's not an easy task. It's by far his toughest fight in his whole career. But Jose's been bred and raised for these days. And in the same respect, Josh Taylor's going to bring it. And that's where we're going to get fireworks. And at the end of the day, man, it's going to be a true champion raising his hands. And I can see these guys running it back once again.
Yeah. If it turns to an instant classic, I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
No, I wouldn't mind seeing it again either. And you know what? I normally don't bug Evan, but I've been on him, Jamel. I want that Josh Taylor interview.
I don't blame you. I
want to give him, I want to welcome him to the States, and I want to give him a fair interview. I'm a strong supporter of the professor, Joshua Franco, out of Robert Garcia's camp.
Yeah.
I've had Andrew Maloney on the show right afterwards because I want to let them know the fighter's voice is right down the middle. Every fighter has a voice, and I want to hear his side of the story. And I want to hear Josh Taylor, what he's going to bring, how he's feeling, and how's the media treating him. And especially, I'll go out and say it because it is what it is. Someone that looks like me to interview him, that is the same tone as Jose, to give this man a 100% fair interview. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
And you know what? I respect it because I even had, during my build-up for my last fight, I respected, the Irish and the UK crowd for giving me a platform to share my thoughts instead of just being one-sided with things, and that's why I had no issue speaking with them. Even for Frampton documentary series, I did an interview for that as well, just to help, give my thoughts and opinions and show love that it's no animosity. I'll speak with your people and, and we'll just handle business on fight night. So I respect that from you, that you will be willing to give, Josh that same love and respect on your platform. I might have to reach out to him and tell him to get on.
Yeah, please do, man. Anything can help, man. Jamel, it's always a pleasure, man. I mean, it's like the time flies, and you've always been a class act from day one. You have not changed, even though you have a bigger bank account and you have a nice, beautiful belt that you got somewhere displayed, and you've always been the same since the first time that I met you, man. And I appreciate your time, your expertise, and I just had to get off that first question, that one with Sean Porter, man, because when he said it to me, I was like, oh, okay.
I'm glad you did. That was
a good one.
That was I probably wouldn't even thought about that. You got the questions all the time. I probably wouldn't have thought about that one, but that was a good one.
Hey, man, I'm just letting you know too. Hey, I got a shirt just like you.
Hey,
like
I'm
you.
matter of fact, like I said, hopefully you'll be there in Vegas to cover it, because I'm more likely to be there as well. I'm gonna need another shirt. I gotta get another shirt.
I gotta get you. I got you, man. I'll shoot you another shirt, and we gotta get you a ball cap too, man.
Yeah, I love my cap. I love my cap.
Yes,
so,
you do.
Yeah, definitely shoot me one of those. But I appreciate you, Rich.
It won't be a Yankee hat, but it'll be a fighter's voice hat, my man.
Hey, it don't matter. I'm showing love. I'm supporting the team, man. You know it's real over here.
I appreciate it. Hey, as always, I'm your host, Richard Ortiz. I want to thank all the viewers, the fans, the followers, and supporters. I want to thank everybody for their questions and their comments. And I'm sorry if I couldn't get to all of them. And most of all, I want to thank our guest tonight, the WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Mr. Semper Jamel Herring. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Don't you dare touch that dial. Don't miss out. Now you can listen to the Fighter's Voice podcast radio show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio. For the hottest and latest in sports and entertainment, exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the sport of boxing and MMA. New show, new topics, new look. Bringing you the latest news. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. The Fighter's Voice.